Yeah. Yeah. Let me take you on a day.
What is up, guys, and welcome to Talkin Sporty. I'm your host, Brittany Bets.
And I'm your co-host, P.
Hi, guys. What is up? Week 3 has flown by, and we are entering a fourth of the NFL season gone.
Oh, my God.
How are we feeling?
So, I'm feeling a little bit better than the first 2 weeks. We're getting a little bit more excitement. Personally, and we'll get into this, but Rams are on a short week. We lost. Not feeling too great about that, but we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
But other than that, teams that were finally supposed to won. I guess we could get into some first wins for the weekend.
Yeah, I think that week 3 is a good point where we can kind of have an idea of what teams are about. Week 1 is just overhyped, overinflated, or just underestimated, whatever. Week 2 is okay, week 2. Week 3, we should kind of know.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, the Chargers, our other LA team, they got their first win, finally.
Yeah, they got their first win. I think there's some.
Did you see that game?
I did. I watched it on Red Zone. Granted, I watched. For those of you that don't know, you're probably sick of me talking about Red Zone, but I watch everything on Red Zone for the most part, unless the Rams are playing. Then I watch it full screen. I did watch it. I know that had those Chargers lost, people would have been calling for Staley's head.
They've been calling for it.
No, not this way. I think
this way. No, absolutely. They've been calling for it, but this one, it would have been like the nail in the coffin. You're right.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they would have been at Spendel's front door, if you don't get this man out of here. So I want to ask you because we got some ties with Minnesota, right? We don't want to bash Kevin O'Connell too much,
and I thought they were going to be good, and we'll talk about that. Go ahead. Yeah, okay. Keep going.
And I'm hearing a conversation of that last drive, but by not even the last drive, because Kirk was dishing it to TJ, and it was just they were marching downfield, right? I was like, oh my God, this is it. The Chargers are gonna lose it. It's gonna get bad, and of course, Kirk throws a pick. I get it. I get why they went with again go with the guy who's hot. But do you think that the Vikings lost the game or the Chargers won the game? Or do you think that it was just they were both trying to lose the game?
It was pure fuckery. It was truly Spider-Man meme
right.
Of who's going to Charger the best.
Yeah.
It was hold my beer.
Yeah.
And somebody had to win. Would you have been shocked if that game would have ended in a tie? No, because it's just how crazy I felt it was. Brandon Staley going for it on fourth down at
you know how that goes.
They're on 24, and there was a lot of in that game that just had me whoa. But I do think that won that game because just looking at Justin Herbert and everything that he did, oh my God, he was 40 for 47, over 400 yards, 3, maybe 4 touchdowns. I don't even remember. And then Keenan Allen went off. He had over 200 yards, 18 receptions. He threw a touchdown.
Yes,
their run game isn't really going from what I was seeing. It's not really it's not really, going, but
right. And as much as it pains me to say this about my UCLA guy, but Josh Kelly's just not cutting it. So they need Austin Eckler back ASAP.
Eckler needs to come back.
But obviously we can't talk about the game, and you just mentioned it without saying, of course, unfortunately, Mike Williams did tear his ACL.
That is horrible. And I feel so bad for them. I don't know if I told you, but my dad and my mom, my dad goes in every year with somebody on a future bet. And he has the Chargers to win the AFC. So I told him like the one thing that has to happen, and obviously there's no guarantee in the league with injuries, is that everybody has to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Because even though, what is the guy that they picked up in the draft? Quentin, I can't, or not Quentin, Quentin, is it Quentin Johnson? He's like Mike Williams 2.0. You know, he's like a big body receiver. He's just give him the one-on-ones, give him the 50-50 balls. He, even though he is like him, he's not a replacement. Like, you need all of your weapons to make it, to go through the stretch. And like, that is a huge loss for them. It pains me because it's like he gets hurt a lot.
A lot, you know.
Did you see the Club Shay Shay with Ocho Cinco where he was like, these guys need to call him because they ain't eating right? And he's like, he's never
Right.
got hurt once in his career.
And that's
Hey,
true.
send us a sample of what the meal
Yeah.
plan should be.
Yeah, and
Shout out Brittany Bets.
it's also important to note that you know, Justin Herbert's playing out of his mind. Hasn't translated to wins, unfortunately, but he has not thrown a pick yet. He has not turned the ball over yet. That's important.
I think that he almost had a pick. He almost had a pick, and it was just crazy the way that it ended up as a touchdown. But
I feel like
on the other side,
we're getting a lot of those this season. I'm seeing like those little
the
like
wonky ones.
Yeah, like the bobble, like I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess they say sacks and turnovers and all that stuff. They come in bunches, so the wonky plays too. No, but I was gonna say on the other side of throwing the football, Kirk Cousins. Like, I've never been a Kirk Cousins defender. Never. I've never been a Kirk Cousins lover, but I do like Kirk Cousins, and I think that offensively, he's a great quarterback in terms of being in a system, but he makes these mistakes under pressure. And obviously, you got to be a dog. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And he, going into the game this week, you know, he was on track to be leading the league in yards for a season. Like, he was technically, just based on what he's done so far, he was like close to looking at 6,000 yards. And just insane numbers, the things that he can do. But we talked about it. It's not about what you can do. It's about what you actually go out there and do. And he turns the ball over, and he doesn't get help from the O-line. Like, they have a lot of injuries right now. The defense is not up to par. And I thought that they would be with Brian Flores coming in, but he just got there. You know, like, I'm sure that he wants to tweak a lot of things. Like, they need some guys that are going to be difference makers. But I think that the Chargers, for sure, they finally won a game. They squeaked it out.
And it was an ugly win, right?
More than the Vikings.
Yeah, it was an ugly win. But I think also why people I don't know how I want to say this without coming off as rude, but a lot of these guys, not just Kirk Cousins, but the people that are in those conversations, it's because you mentioned it. It's like, it's not only about, like, you know, how you perform, but it's of course how you perform under pressure when it's like your back is against the wall, right? It's that game-winning drive, and you're just not doing it. And it could be said for a lot of folks, not just him, but it's those conversations where it's like, hey, this is why, you know, people always have a but after your name, right? It's Kirk Cousins, but, or yeah, he's good, but, and it's again like how these folks play like under pressure. So unfortunately, yeah, they did turn the ball over. I understand why they did what they did, but obviously it didn't pay off. And had they not turned the ball over, Brandon Staley would probably be unemployed right now. Who knows? Maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
those are McVay tree guys too. So
both of them going head to head. That's funny. That is funny. Speaking of the McVay
offense versus defense. Yeah.
McVay also went up against one of one of his guys as well.
Right. Let's get into that. That's perfect little segue.
Yeah, so McVay's 1-1, right? Well, I wouldn't say 1-1, but the most recent memory is Super Bowl. So, talk about an ugly win. That was an ugly win for the Bengals, and we know it. It was not.
It was.
It was not. I mean, they only scored one touchdown, right? They put McPherson to work. He earned his check that day. He earned his
Money
check.
Mac.
So let's get into that. That was just a weird game from the start, right?
The energy, like they had us going. And well, let's just say the Rams, obviously. Like offense was driving downfield. That first drive with the jet sweep to 2-2 where he scored and they called it back. They called it back. Like, how do you call it a touchdown? There's nothing that's definitive. There's no conclusive evidence to overturn it, but yet you did. Oh, and that just deflated everything. And I think that McVay got in his head, and yeah.
When
We're gonna talk about it.
When I seen that play, the little sweep to 2-2, and like the way Matthew just like tossed, like he did it so nonchalantly. I said, "Hold on, wait a minute. This is how we're starting today. Okay, all right." And then it just, like you said, it all went downhill from here. I am not the type. I am on record on saying this. I am not the type to go against refs. I'm not the type to say, "Hey," especially like that NFC Championship game against the Saints. Like, this is just one of those, like, again, don't ever let refs decide the game. Never. Right?
Oh, I hate that. I hate that.
Don't ever let the ref decide the game. But this is not the case in this situation, right? Because like you said, Tutu's touchdown it wasn't clear and conclusive.
And it was called a touchdown at first.
Right. But how come the pick, which hit the ground, they left it as an interception because it wasn't clear and conclusive, but still it was called an interception, and that just it just boggled my mind. And I don't want to get into the conspiracy theories about people saying the NFL can afford.
They didn't want Joe Burrow to lose.
Blah 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 blah. The script, whatever the case is, it's just kind of like, come on, dude. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And it
was a winnable game. It was a winnable game for us. And like I said, I think that McVay got in his head.
Yeah. And you and I were, Brittany and I were texting during the game, by the way, guys. And it was just a mess. It was a mess. Like you said, McVay got in his head. Why on God's green earth do you step away from something that's given you success the first 2 weeks of the season? You've seen it.
He hates running the ball. He hates it. He hates it. But it's proven that it's what works. And just like, we're not going to win in the trenches. You know what I mean? We're not going to get any passes off. Well, obviously, we're not going to win in the trenches with the offensive line. We'll talk about that.
Right there, yeah.
But like, we need to get the run going, and then that can open up the passes. Yeah. And I just feel like every play was meant for the pass. And even the pass plays, they weren't good pass plays. Like, I would have taken some check downs. Like, just get us first downs. You know what I mean? I would have taken things like that. But it just seemed like every time Matthew dropped back, he was looking for a deep ball, or he was looking for just that go route. Like, and then he would get smacked. He was sacked 6 times. He got hit 10 times. It wasn't a good game. We obviously had O-line injuries, which is very reminiscent of last season, and it gives us bad deja vu, right? PTSD type vibes. But I think that if we can get those guys back and we can have, just a sustainable offensive line, that isn't going to be the number one issue. The issue is that we're not running the ball.
Yep. I like
defense played a hell of a game, by the way.
Yes, he did, and that should not go unsaid. I was watching that game, and I was just like, this is literally last season all over again. 6 sacks. I was curious because I was curious about the Seattle game. 5 pressures allowed. Do you know how many we allowed against the Bengals? 4 times that, 20. That's just not recipe for success. Not only that, 1 for 11 on third downs is, by the way, the worst in the season so far.
Pitiful.
That's disgusting.
Pitiful.
How are we supposed to win that way?
Pitiful. That's what I'm saying. Like, we weren't even trying to get any short routes. We weren't
Nothing.
even trying to get anything just like
And the only third
5
down
yards.
I'm gonna have him edit that part out, okay? 1937.
No, that is so funny. You're so funny.
The only part,
Oh,
the only third down we converted was the one where we scored. That was it.
Gosh.
Oh, can we quickly talk about this? And I promise you guys, Brittany and I will not get into these conspiracy, the refs are against us, the whole world hates us, because of course we acknowledge that we weren't running the ball, we weren't converting on these third downs. We get it.
But that touchdown was a touchdown. Like, that's some bullshit. And I'm gonna tell you that.
Let's talk about when Zach Taylor calls the timeout. Did you see how close that is between the snapping of the ball and him calling his hand off?
I did.
What are we doing?
We had players falling. I think it was Awuzie was falling on the ground because his earring got pulled out or something, and it stops the game. And it was just like we were just getting momentum, and just little things like that. Okay. But bottom line is we didn't get the dub. We did not. The Rams that I saw in week 1 and week 2 were not the Rams that got off the flight in Cincinnati, Ohio. Defense. They played their game. They showed up. Secondary wasn't the best. Obviously, we let Jamar Chase get over 140 yards. But we got to Burrow, and like we held Burrow to a very poor rating. We picked him off. Aaron Donald had a sack. I think that he had 2. Okay. Byron Young. Did you know that Byron Young has had a half a sack in all 3 games?
Really?
Nice. Yes.
And again, I agree with you. I have minimal, very minimal feedback, or I guess you could say criticism. Anyway, who am I? But anyway, for our defense, right? They did what they were supposed to do.
They kept us in the game.
They kept us in the game. Now, I have never, and I watched Joe Burrow at LSU. I'm sure you did too. I have not ever seen Joe Burrow like that. Meaning, this man was afraid to move. He was fearing for his life.
Excuse me.
I have never seen him that immobile, that stiff. You know what I mean? Like he was literally just like a duck. Like he was just like I was like, who is this? You know what I mean?
We said that like he did not look okay. It just looked like he was one low hit away.
One low hit away. And even those 2, like, even though, the Rams love them all in my heart, even those 2 hits from AD, I was cringing for. Like, I was literally like, oh my God, this made me nervous for him, for Joe Burrow, right? But like, I think had we had my only criticism, had we had another guy to help AD out, whether it's up front, bringing pressure, this game is not that close.
We need an edge rusher. Like that is what it is. Like I think that we need a bowling ball back. Like just looking back in the last few McVay years, we got CJ Anderson and then we got Sony Michel. And they both have Super Bowl experience, just kind of like vet experience, and they're just like big bowling balls, bruiser backs, Deontay says. And like, I think that we need to be splitting Kyron's snaps. Like, if you're only going to give him 10, if you're only going to give him 10 freaking carries, then we need another running back that's going to get another 10. We need a total of 20 carries. And I think that a bigger back will take a little bit of that, pressure off of Kyron and help open it up and just be able to burst through the gaps and do things like that. And like I said, split the snaps.
Yep.
But we need that, and then we need an edge rusher. Like, that we've known for forever. I just don't think that we have the ducats. Like, we're broke. In terms of us getting somebody that is good, that's not gonna happen. Like we can't afford Brian Burns. Like that is,
No.
like I said, girl can dream, girl can
A lot of
dream. But
let's be realistic though. A lot
if
of
we
people,
can get Chase Young on a discount,
girl,
okay,
a lot of people
okay,
can't afford Brian. Like they just can't. What they're asking for Brian is just it's ridiculous. I don't know
right.
many teams that would be able to do that. So we're just gonna have to, we're just gonna have to just dust our hands off. It is what it is. It was an
We got
ugly.
to run the ball. We got to run the ball, McVay. Like I love you. I really hate you right now. Like I hate you right now. I'm done with you. I don't hate you because I don't hate anybody. Like that's terrible. But I just don't like you because you can't be in your head like that. Like you have to run the ball against the 31st ranked team against the run. Like come on.
It's that simple. It's that simple. They're like I said, our only positive about that was just our defense. Really, Akella Witherspoon had one of the most insane
Not
interceptions I've
again.
ever seen in my entire.
It was nice.
Never mind the interception. He actually held his own. He actually held his own. He had a tough assignment, but he had one of the most insane interceptions I've ever seen. Like
It was nice.
it was nice. So our defense was great. We lost. We're 1-2, right? We could get
That's
into
the way the
it.
cookie crumbled.
Yep. We got a short week.
Who else is 1-2 that we want to talk about? Let's see. The Jets.
Sure. Talk about a bad situation, right? That's just a bad situation. It's just a bad situation. I'm reading reports. I don't know how accurate they are, but apparently Robert Saleh is he's got to stick with Zach. It is what it is. I get it, but it's not. He's not making friends in the locker room. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Their defense that was like, coming into the season, obviously besides the obvious, right? Of course, Aaron Rodgers. That was one of the main, also the biggest talking points was the Jets defense, right? And of course, it makes sense that who their head coach is. But the Jets are just painful, huh? Like just they
The
got
offense is mortifying.
mortifying,
Like
crazy, and they got a lot of primetime games this season. That's gonna be hard to watch.
I mean, this weekend, Kansas City. Taylor Swift's gonna be there. Like, why do we have to have her watch the Zach Wilson show? No, that's not fair. Like, this is her second football game ever, and we got her watching Zach Wilson. Come on, no. But anywho, I think that it's tough. It's hard because the entire offense was schemed up for Aaron Rodgers. Him and Hackett and just what they plan to do, not just for the first game of the season, but just throughout the season. It is out of the window, and you've had to allow this rookie, or not a rookie, I'm sorry, this kid to be the
He
captain
plays
of
like
your
a
ship.
rookie. He plays like a rookie, huh?
Right. So, I mean, it's tough, like everything that you were selling your team, you still have to keep that same energy. You have to keep it because the leader can't, be caught sleeping. The leader can't be caught sweating.
Yeah.
And for him to say that they're going to ride with Zach, I think that that's not the way to go. Like, you got to get a quarterback. You got to get a quarterback out of.
Well, I just remembered. I was just confirming because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I do remember watching the reports this morning. Did you hear about Trevor Siemian?
Oh yeah, they signed Trevor. So that's what I was gonna say. So you get Trevor, but Trevor can't play this weekend just because they just got Trevor can't play this game because of rules and him just getting there, whatever the case is. That's from what I hear. But you have a quarterback competition. You have a competition.
Not the
So
wing.
you
She's
let them battle it out, and Trevor wins. Trevor wins,
so silly.
and then you roll with Trevor because I mean, how much worse can it get?
How much
He
worse?
has more experience. You're kind of pleased in the locker room in a sense of like, you guys don't trust Zach. Like, let's try something different. What's the worst that can happen? And then you're also putting a little gas under Zach. Like, hey, get it together. You know what I mean? Like, what is the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? And then Aaron Rodgers, what he had to say, I agree. What did he say that was wrong?
He didn't really. Well, from what I understood, because he talks for a minute. We love Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays on Pat McAfee show, by the way. But it seems like he's coming more so like I feel like he's trying to play a little neutral though, because he did say something like I remember he said something along the lines of like he doesn't want them to like turn on each other, something along those lines. Which
right.
He's gonna say that. And then he well, okay. Every time he's on the Pat McAfee show, he's as real as it gets, from what I've seen, right? He freaking announced he's going to the Jets on there, basically. Like, he's as real as it gets there. I have to say, I don't know if it's the injury or whatever the case is, but I feel like he was still holding back a little bit from what he wanted to actually say, in a way.
And I mean, you have to a certain extent because that's still your locker room. Like, you plan on coming back from this injury and getting back in there and taking back your captain's chair. But from afar, you're still the captain too. And I think that him saying it publicly was even better than just going in the locker room. You know what I mean? Because he's because the truth is everybody is watching the Jets and they're falling apart, but they have a defense that is good enough to hold it together. They have a run game that is good enough to hold it together. It's just the guy that has the reins, he's not good enough. And I don't know who said it in their locker room, but any other position would be criticized for that type of play, and they would be sitting him down and they would be letting the next guy step up. So why can't you do that with a quarterback? Like, he hasn't proven anything. He hasn't done anything. He doesn't have anything behind his name that gives him the credibility. He has one throw, one combine throw.
Your face.
Yeah. Put Trevor in there and call it a day. Like, and
at this point, like you said, there's just nothing more to lose, right? Unfortunately, you lost the biggest piece. And you know what, Brittany, this is the last time I'm gonna say it. I just can't get over that Aaron Rodgers injury. 4 plays. It's just like if y'all are writing a script, this is the nastiest script you guys.
Right, biggest plot twist ever. Just kind of like cinematically, it was obviously captivating because people outside of the football world knew like this Aaron Rodgers guy, but it's like a thriller, because it's like nobody wants this to happen.
Right.
Oh.
So, yeah.
But maybe the Jets can turn this around. Like, it's still early in the season, and if they make those decisions now and try to get ahead of things, and that's kind of what Aaron was trying to say. Like, we do have to send the good vibes. We do have to manifest good things. Like, and to a certain extent, it's not doing Zach any good by you guys saying that he's not good. You know what I mean? But again, it's like a catch-22. He's not good. So how can you say that nicely?
Yeah. But like you said, it still goes back to like, and we can end it with this, but it still goes back to him just saying, hey, you know what, eventually I got to go back to this team, right? I'm injured, but I got to, be very careful about how I word this. I don't know. It doesn't help that they're in the AFC, of course. We saw that Bill Belichick still owns them. We saw that this past weekend. So it's just, I just pray. I really just pray for them. And don't take this as an offense, but the Jets always remind me that things could always be worse. And I mean that with like from a place of empathy, not from a
Truly, as a fan, like I feel for
yeah.
them. Like,
Yeah, I don't mean that to be like
ooh,
nasty or but things could always be worse. And so we'll see how that shapes out. They're in a tough conference and they're in a tough division too, right? They got the Bills there.
yes, the Dolphins, who
The
I think are the
Dolphins.
front runner right now. Like, just really quick, I'm just gonna tell you this really quick because I said this to somebody earlier. The feeling that I had about the Rams winning the Super Bowl that season,
Mm-hmm.
it truly is the same kind of feeling that I have for the Dolphins.
Mm.
And I mean, I say that to say that like Mike McDaniel has pretty much done the same thing that Sean McVay did. He went out and he's put in the pieces that he wants for his offense together. And
Mm-hmm.
then he has a stacked defense on the other side of the ball. And it's not even complete. Like with us, we went out and we got Von Miller to put the icing on the cake, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
mid-season. They are missing Jalen Ramsey in their secondary. So imagine how they're going to be when he gets back. It's just, there's just so many things that are so magically right about that team. They,
Yeah.
Miami.
Yeah. I can't say that like I expected this, but I also can't say that I'm shocked.
I kind of
Um,
did.
it's a weird thing. I just don't want to seem like I really expected this, right? Because we're talking about the AFC, and you can't talk about the AFC without talking about Patrick Mahomes. So I think that's just always going to overshadow, at least for a little bit. And I mean, that's what pretty much what most people think. But 70 points on a professional football team is just like it's obviously not impossible because it's like the fourth time it's been done, but
Mm.
it's just it is just insane. And Vic Fangio, we gotta talk about that defense without talking about. Shout out to Vic Fangio, right? He's got those boys just he the 20 points. They held him to 20 points again. Granted, it is the Broncos. That's another story for a different day. But
I
hey,
It was a Brian Flores defense. I'm a Brian Flores defender. People hate him, and I think a lot of Dolphins fans hated him too because of like a lot of the decisions that he wanted to make when he was there. But I think that he had some of those pieces that are still there were there when he was there. But you know, yeah, Vic is there. Vic is a legend, and he's doing his thing. Um, that team is the team is stacked. Both coaches, you know,
mm-hmm,
they know the game.
mm-hmm.
And it makes me nervous. I mean, the Rams, I'm just hoping. I'm hoping that we stay contenders and like something happens in terms of us just filling in pieces because Les is like, okay, we got a chance. You know, we're hanging in there. But in terms of the AFC, I think that they're a clear front runner right now. Um, we can segue into losing AFC teams, just who I think will absolutely not go anywhere. And this may not be a surprise, but it's the Raiders.
Hey, actually, really quick, I'm just gonna make this fair
My
point.
brother is a Raiders fan
I
too. Like
tweeted
that is
about
what I had to deal with all my life.
I tweeted about this really quickly. We understand that the Raiders have only been in Vegas, right? We get that they're not gonna win the Vegas crowd overnight, right? It's only been a few years. But Pittsburgh took over Allegiant. And it
Yeah.
only makes the point to say, hey, this is the last time I was talking about it, whatever. But that's what happens when you have travel destination cities, just like we've been saying.
Just like
Doesn't
LA.
matter.
Like and the tickets I heard were insane. They said the average price was like $700 to
Mm-hmm.
get in the building.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That does not mean that the Raiders don't have a fan base, right? Because they're one of the biggest fan base we've ever seen.
For sure.
So
For
then
sure. I mean, we're in LA. We have to deal
we
with
know
this.
firsthand that they have a fan base, right? So it's
But
just funny.
I think that a lot of their fans are starting to come to reality. Like we know Raiders fans as being crazy Raider fans. Like that is just the stereotype, right? But a lot of them are starting to realize we suck. We're not going nowhere. We have no direction. We have no organizational leadership. Our coach sucks. Like the list goes on. Like there are a lot of fans that I know. Like my brother has been in that boat. My brother's like, man, Raiders ain't gonna do nothing ever. But a lot of a lot of people are starting to come to that consensus.
Yeah, yeah, it's a sad reality. It's a sad reality, and I think God forgive me for saying this. It's just they something's gotta. It's just it's Mark Davis. Like I don't
Oh,
know.
absolutely.
I don't know what it's gonna take, but yeah, I mean they could get all the pieces they want. Obviously, it's gonna stem from ownership. That's just how it is. And so you want to be. I guess frugal is not the word. Cheap. I don't know, but it's
But I
just
mean, even with the coaching, like you brought in Josh McDaniels, and what did you expect him to do? Like he brought in Jimmy G so that it could be the same system, the same what New England system. So like that, the guy who was their special teams coordinator, I forget his name. I think his name, I can't. I'll remember it later on. But he was their interim coach at one point, and like the culture was good. Everything in the locker room was going well. Like guys respected him. They gravitated towards him just as a coach, and they wanted him to stay. And I think is it Rich Bisaccia? I'm gonna look it up. Anywho,
I can.
he decided, nah, just let him walk, you know. And then you bring in a guy who, like, the locker room was already just kind of going astray. Like Carr was leaving, Carr kind of bailed on Davante Adams,
That was a
and
disaster, right?
like the defense is falling apart. Like you have Max Crosby, but that's it. Like Chandler Jones situation is I don't even know what's going on with that. Like there's a lot that is going on with the Raiders per usual, right? Like per usual, that is always the footnote. Like there's always something going on with the Raiders. But right now, I think that they are just going into a direction, like a
Spiral.
downward
Yeah, like,
direction,
so, yeah, like they're just
and they
spiraling.
don't even care. Yeah, like they don't even care. Like you're wasting away Davante Adams' prime years, and like go after something, or maybe put yourself in the predicament to where you can get a better draft pick or get collateral capital, whatever, draft capital collateral. Like this is the pawn shop. No, but you can get draft capital. But Jimmy G, the guy that you guys want leading the future, like looking ahead for the next 4 years.
Yeah,
It's crazy to me.
and you know what's crazy? You didn't even mention Josh Jacobs. It just shows you how big,
Oh
how
my gosh, it's
a laundry list of issues they have, right? Josh Jacobs was what came in probably top 5 in rushing last season.
can't even crack 100 yards. Last game, like 10 yards.
Like,
At one
no,
point, he was like -2.
yeah,
No, he was like he averaged like .2 a carry
yeah,
last
girl, you
game.
have him in fantasy. Trust me, I was watching
Oh,
closely. But it obviously
terrible.
it sucks, right? We didn't even mention Josh Jacobs. He held out, whatever they brought him back. That guy's just
He should have just stayed at home. He should
so
have
like
just
you
stayed
said,
at
you
home.
don't, you said, like you said, you don't want to waste Tay's or Devontae, sorry, his prime years, and we want
Right,
to.
like we know him, Tay Adams.
I know Tay. Just kidding.
Hey Tay.
So of course, I think it was a report that came out today that well, actually, I believe it was yesterday. He says that it's kind of what to do to what you were alluding to. I'm sorry, but he thinks that they're not doing the right things or the right things the right way, I should say, to establish a winning culture. Um, that only sparked up conversations of like, okay, does he got to get out of there?
Yeah. Like what are they doing to like let me lead with this. Every player that's on a 53-man roster wants to win a Super Bowl. Like that is the goal. Like nobody is just out there for cardio. Yeah, it's some good
Except for
paying
Ben Jefferson.
cardio.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We love our Gators. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh man. But like Davante Adams is he still got it. He's still top receiver, right? And the Raiders aren't making any big draft moves. The Raiders aren't making any big trades. The Raiders aren't doing anything to show that they want to be contenders. Like their coach, they are down 8 points and he kicks a field goal and says, we needed multiple possessions to win the game. Say what? What?
Almost as bad as like
okay.
before on third down.
Like, I read something that had said that like over the last, since maybe 2018, if it wasn't 2018, it was maybe since 2020, all of the Raiders' top 100 picks aren't even playing anymore.
I mean, Henry Ruggs.
Like, I don't even want to get into people's off the field stuff. That's why I was saying, like, Chandler Jones, I don't even know what's going on with that. But it's just, the point is,
why is there like,
they're not making the right decisions.
No, yeah, like, there's no like, it seems like it's just always chaos there, right? Like there's just no, it seems like, I don't know, obviously we're not in that organization, we're not in the locker room, but optics, like when it comes to optics, there just seems like there's always something going on with them, right? Whether it's Chandler Jones, Henry Ruggs, Davante Adams, Derek Carr was a huge thing, right? Like just as far as optics go, because I know you cannot sit here and lie to me and tell me the optics don't matter for these teams, because at the end of the day, they're business. But the optics, they're just terrible, right? Like it's just like
But I don't think that they care about the optics.
No, like, exactly. Even worse.
The stigma of their fans. Like I think that they think like our fans are gonna roll with it. No, I think your fans are tired. Like they tired. Like real tired.
Even worse. And that's what I'm saying. Why like it's just an ownership thing. It's never gonna change until God forbid something happens to Mark Davis or whatever the case is. I don't even want to get into that. But it's just like that, you know how bad it is when you just reach to a point where you're just like, hey, it is what it is.
Right. Like not even just win, baby. Just
win, baby.
Just don't embarrass me, baby. Like
yeah. So they're also wanting to. People are starting to talk about where should Davante Adams go. He's going to waste his time there. I believe he was sold a dream. I really do.
Yeah,
and poor guy. As long as he
and I feel bad.
Yeah.
Vegas isn't a fun place to live. No offense to the people that live in Vegas and that have like arthritis and need the desert heat and things like that. But it's just not a fun place to live. And I get the taxes and the savings of that, but I don't know. He has a really beautiful family. Like, he doesn't deserve that. No. The Lions need somebody else. Like, that's one place I can see him potentially going. If you like Detroit, Tay, like if you barbecue, Motown, perhaps. Wait, Detroit, is Detroit known for barbecue? No, they're not. They're not.
Girl, I don't even.
That's my Detroit friends. They're gonna be like, Brittany, wait, what? No, I can. So who can utilize him? Who needs a receiver and who can afford him? And most importantly, who's a contender? Because that's where he deserves to go.
Yeah,
if he says that he wants to be traded.
Win soon, like somebody that's
right
in that culture of already like they're just like right there. But we're talking about who can afford him. That's the problem, right? Because
the Lions can afford him.
Lions can afford him. I think the Lions might be maybe a season or two away from making some significant noise. Right.
We'll talk about that another day about the Lions.
But the list that I saw, now this is not in any way, shape, or form to say that I agree with it, because the first two names that I'm going to say, I'm damn sure don't agree with it. But I see the Niners.
It's probably who I'm thinking, yeah, because they can afford it.
They can, but that means they screw over their other guys, right?
They're waiting until they have to pay the Reaper. You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, if we can do it now, we're gonna do whatever it takes. Like the same thing buying a Super Bowl. They're literally trying to take that to the max. So they freed up like 40-something million cap space. We kind of thought like, who are they trying to get? Like, people are like Brian Burns. Like, no way, you're not gonna do that. But I think that it is a possibility because there is no true depth. Like, so I was at the game. So I was at the SoFi. I was at SoFi for the Rams Niner game. And when Ayuk went down, it was silent. And it was like people's hearts dropped. And then they started this chant that I guess they do at Levi, like Ayuk, something like, and just hoping and praying that he got up and, bounced on his feet because they know that they need him. They know that without him, it's not looking as bright.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the depth issue with them is a big issue that nobody talks about. So if they can just go and snag him, and just for this season, and then figure something else out later. Like, I mean, if they win, they don't have to keep them. They won't win, but
I don't know what I don't know, like I don't know how that it seems like more so like from what I'm seeing, from what I'm getting is not like he wouldn't be an insurance policy, right? Because Davante Adams is anything but an insurance policy, right? He's Davante Adams, but I just don't know how they take that on without avoiding the obvious. Like, I don't know if they can afford to cross that bridge when they get there, type stuff. We may have to double confirm this, but we also have to look into Davante's Green Bay contract because I do think that the Raiders took somewhat of that on too. That's another thing that would play a part. There's definitely some pieces that would have to go there, but I agree with you. That
the Chargers can use them.
The Chargers can use him.
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that.
The Chargers can use
him. Fresno, so Central Cal.
The Chargers.
He's been in Oakland, Central Cal.
No,
he never played in Oakland. He only played in Vegas. So
yeah. That's kind of like a win soon or window, whatever window that is. I wouldn't say it's a Super Bowl window, but at minimum, it's an AFC Championship, maybe maximum.
I mean, I think that's putting a hell of a Band-Aid on. Like, that's like your arm got cut off and you just getting a good one put right back in.
Yeah,
you do something like that.
That's definitely an interesting point. The Chargers. I don't know how they would work that out, but the Chargers would be actually. I wouldn't be opposed to that. That's my Justin Herbert love bias talking, but
you know who always picks up the phone for anybody available? The Bills. For some reason, they always have the money.
I think you say Jerry Jones.
They always have. They always are on the phone. Like Jonathan Taylor, right. Odell Beckham, like Von Miller. They pick up the phone. They always inquire and get the deep.
I like it. And then where's Von Miller now?
At home, getting better.
And they paid them. And
they hope. They gave him the Brinks truck.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that he gonna.
We can just sit off for the sake of Davante Adams. I do hope he gets out of Vegas. I hope he lands in the AFC still. I don't want to deal with him again in the NFC. Right. And I genuinely hope that he actually gets to at least go to a team that's going to help him win soon. 1 season, 2 seasons soon.
Agreed.
It would suck to see a talent like that just go to waste somewhere in Vegas. No disrespect whatsoever, right? And then so we can fast forward into, I guess we can say into a few days because today's Wednesday, but we are on a short week. The Rams play the Colts.
Yeah, we have the Monday night game, so we play Sunday morning.
Right, on a short week. So I don't know. It's my understanding that Anthony Richardson's not going to play. It's still going to be Gardner Minshew. I don't know the latest on that.
I think that we are kind of waiting. Like, we don't know who we're preparing for. So we've got to look at film. The little minimal film that we have on AR from this season. And obviously you look at Uncle Rico's tape and you figure something out because I mean the Colts look good. Their record doesn't, do them justice in terms of the way that they've looked, which I don't even want to get into the standings, like those they don't go off of performance. We know that. But I think that the Colts have looked good. Like their defense has been holding teams to under 21 points in all 3 games. They're getting home, they're hitting the quarterbacks. Offensively, like Gardner Minshew is doing exactly enough. Like he is a guy who I thought that the Jets should have picked up the phone and called, but obviously they're going to Colts should keep their backup. You have a good solid backup, which is hard to come by these days. So, if we do see him, I don't think that it's going to be a super, super, super easy task. Not to say that we can't get to him,
Yeah. I'm more concerned about them getting to us. If anything, they got 12 sacks.
Oh yeah, some defense is good.
23 tackles for losses, 7 forced fumbles. I'm more concerned about them getting to us. I did see, I think you and I were chatting about this too, some positive news about Alaric Jackson. I did see Joe Noteboom leave the game in Cincinnati in the late fourth quarter. I saw him come back in. I'm more, and we said it, right? Our defense played well against freaking Joe Burrow. Like, this is no disrespect to the Colts, no disrespect to Gardner Minshew, but I would pray that we do well against an Indiana offense. But it's just like
it's tough. Back-to-back road games,
back-to-back games.
O-line, it cannot fall apart.
That's our main concern, right? Because we're talking about how many sacks Colts defense has, tackles for losses, like I said earlier. That really is our main concern. And I think we can win
in
this.
terms of our defense, though, I think that we're going to have to be looking out for, obviously, the run. Gardner Minshew doesn't just sling the football. I think his number one is Michael Pittman. Colts. Davante Adams. Do you like Indianapolis?
Stay in the AFC, dude. Yeah.
Michael Pittman is their number one, and I mean he's getting a ton of work. And if our guys can lock him up, that shuts that down. So they're going to run the ball. They had like 30 attempts in the last game against Baltimore, and Baltimore's not a team to sneeze at. I don't think that they have a great defense. I don't think that Lamar played a great game, but Colts were looking good, and I thought that going into this game we'd be like, we got this. But I really don't want us to get in our head. I don't want us to think that we're playing down to anybody because, like, we're going in as dogs. We're plus 1.5. So we have to initiate the run. We have to at least get it going to allow Stafford to get into his passing game. Like, what? Like, we can't just start off the rip throwing the ball 11 times. Second and 1, third and 1 in the red zone. Like when we're in the red zone, Sean, I want us to run the ball all 3 times. And you know what? Just go for it on 4th down. I don't even care. Like we just need to play with those type of balls and get in the end zone.
Like why would you go away from what was making you the best red zone offense the first 2 weeks? Why?
Oh my gosh. I guess he was overly confident in just how clean Stafford had been staying and the things that he had been doing. Like, yeah, he was slinging the ball. 2 picks against the Niners with context. The 2 picks this week, meh. Like Kyron has to, if he's going to put a hand on it, you got to grab it. Like, I'm not trusting him anymore with those, like, tosses.
Yeah, I know. Those were frustrating.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, he needs help. Even just like a presence, even just like a vet presence to help him with his snaps, to give him tips, just extra boost of confidence. Like they in New York, like the Jets, they have Breece Hall, and obviously they know that he's just so springy and like he's gonna do amazing things coming off of an injury, but they still went out and they got Dalvin Cook, and they still have Carter. Like like they have a bigger sized guy to take on a lot of that dirty work, and we need to bring somebody like that in. Obviously, we can't do it this weekend, obviously, but
I'm dead. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're talking about the Colts. Maybe we can ask them about Jonathan Taylor while we're there. So,
hello, maybe we can just leave with JT while we're here.
speaking of, they want a whole. They want the whole. Like that. Talk about a ridiculous ask. I don't know what Ursay is thinking, but they're asking for way too much. Brian Burns was a lot. No.
Well, if they're asking for that much for him, then shouldn't he be worth the contract that he's requesting?
Exactly. QTNAs. So really quickly before we get into your bets and talk about my fantasy, we just want to end it with you don't even have to give me a number, but do you think we're gonna win?
I do. I do think that we can win the game. I think that we have to not get in our head. Like, we have to go back to the first week of football and just figure out a way to sustain drives. Oh, I figured it out. Run the ball. Like that is
Like mind blown.
the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see us winning without doing so.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that.
I think that it'll be a close game though too, and I don't think that it'll be a high scoring game. I think it'll be like 26-20 Rams.
Okay. All right.
What's your score?
I'm gonna go with my usual. I'm gonna go 27-24 Rams.
She's gonna go my usual.
Hey, I said, I still stand on it. Even though we won week
no
one.
Expectations.
No, not
week 7.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. See, she already knows. Girl.
No expectations for me.
I
know.
Yeah, I agree with you though. It is gonna be a low scoring game. I expect our defense to be what it was. I want the complete opposite of whatever the hell that was on Monday as far as offense goes. Just the opposite. Just the complete opposite.
Yeah, those Rams need to stay in Cincy.
Yeah,
the ones that, like I said, the ones that play week 1 and 2 fly to Indy. Please.
Yeah. So, I'm hoping we'll end it at 500. So hopefully we'll be good.
Yeah.
Do you want to segue into what are your bets for the weekend?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
it doesn't just have to be NFL. We've already said this. We can talk about whether it's college football bet, whatever you're feeling. Something that's just, telling you right here.
Yes. So Brit's best bet. So the one I gave last week, if you got good closing line value and got the Packers plus the points and got +2, then obviously you would have won. But when I gave it out, Packers were -2, and I was just like, there's no way that they're going to lose this home opener, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, if you saw the game, they had to come back in the fourth quarter. They won 18-17, so the -2 didn't cover. Womp, womp, kill me. Then also, on Twitter, I told people that I was rolling with the Commanders.
Girl!
+6 against the Bills, and I totally went out like a chump. So, whatever. If you guys want to fade me moving forward, by all means. But this week, I'm telling you, I have a good feeling about this.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, I'm liking revenge. Revenge on my mind. Not necessarily for me, but for Zeke. I like the Patriots +6.5 to go into the Cowboys. Yes, the Cowboys off of a loss. The Patriots rolling off of a win. And I think that they will get it done. I'm not saying that they may win the game, but I think that they're going to cover the +6.5. Like, I guarantee since that Arizona game ended, Bill Belichick has been sitting there in his cutoff shirt watching that film. Like, there's nothing else that he's been doing, like, and eating snacks in between probably. But, like, he is studying that tape, and obviously he knows that the Cardinals ran it down their throats. Like, they averaged 7 yards a carry. And that is exactly what the Patriots are going to do. They are going to have Ramondre and Zeke split snaps, and they're just going to bang, bang, run that ball. Yeah. Even with that defense, even with Micah Parsons there, like, Bill Belichick saw that defense can be figured out. And what Arizona did, just kind of like going at him and then getting the ball off like that, and like it was genius. Dan Quinn was kind of shook,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Bill is gonna come at them 10 times harder, I think.
That's actually a great.
And Mac Jones has been
Yep.
getting a lot of good protection. I think that they're gonna cover the plus 6.5.
Okay, so we're not taking them for winning. You're just saying they're covering the spread. Okay.
Yeah, take the points plus 6.5. If it goes up, even better.
Love it. Okay. Before I get into my fantasy thing, because you brought up an amazing point. Earlier in the show, you said that week 3 is when you start to realize, like, is it a fluke? Is it not? What's going on? I just want to say, week 3, the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals. Just saying. Well, we have to be honest, though. They lost a big piece, right, in Trevon Diggs, but
they did. But here's the thing: I think that their defense in that game did enough to keep him in the game, and then 100%. When it came down to it, Dak was Dak, and he wasn't carrying them over the hump that was needed.
Yep.
Like, and they're going to be playing a better defense this time around. Like, Bill Belichick's defenses, they're never anything to sneeze at. Like, Judon and just it is going to be a better game, I think, than people expect.
I'm actually glad I'm really excited for that. I just wanted to have my little chance to dig at the Cowboys because I wouldn't be myself if I didn't. So
we try not to even really talk about them. Like, you know what it is.
So just a quick fantasy update. I'm doing horribly in 2 leagues. I'll tell you why.
No.
I'll tell you why. I lost Nick Chubb last week, and of course because it's me, and I had the worst luck. This week I was down 5 points. Okay, Brittany. I said, "Oh, I'm down 5 points.
Close for comfort.
I'm down 5 points. Cool. I got Davante Smith going. I don't care. Davante Smith is sleep. And what happened? AJ Brown wanted his target shares, and AJ Brown wanted the ball more because he wanted the AJ Brown show. And you know how much I lost by? 1 point. Points.
A point. Oh,
and of course,
that's brutal.
Of course, this was on Monday when the Rams lost. So, and I just couldn't. I couldn't take it.
You didn't have a good Monday night. Yeah.
No, not at all by any means. So that's how that is going. I will say I did have Raheem Mostert starting in another league that, of course, gave me, for that one, it is PPR. He gave me like 45 points, something like that. So there's some bright sides to this. I'm hoping I can have a much better weekend when it comes to fantasy this week. I'm definitely going to I was able to pick up Davante Chain. I don't know how. In one of my leagues. I don't know how.
Can I just tell you really, 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 really quick? So 2 weeks ago, I had Nico Collins, and I was like, I have Puka, I have Cooper Kupp still. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, one of my AirPods just came out. But I have Cooper Kupp, I have Devontae Smith, I have Stephon Diggs. Like, I have all these receivers. I need a running back. So let me just get rid of Nico Collins. He goes off like 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I had used him to pick up Devon. And I'm like, I needed a running back. Let me play him. He had got 5 points that week. And I was just like, I'm dropping him. I dropped him to get forward. Oh, this past week. But that's fantasy. That is truly my fantasy luck.
I lost by a point. Do you know how sick I was? You guys are going to think I'm dramatic, but I am not lying to you when I tell you this. I didn't even eat dinner. That's how sick I was. It wasn't just sick puppy. It was just all happening at once. It was just too much. So really quickly, I'll tell you that a player that I am looking forward to starting again this week is CJ Stroud. He's actually making some noise, but not enough noise. I think there's enough bad stuff going on with the Bears, the Raiders, the Jets. There's just enough of bad PR that's going on that the good stuff is not really capturing the limelight yet. But CJ Stroud's doing some things, man. He is doing some things in Houston.
That Texans team is scrappy with
Yeah.
D'Amico there.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
I had tweeted, like, right when they traded up to get the third pick, right after the second pick, got an offensive player and defensive player. I'm like, they snapped. And that's just, they know what they're going to do, like, with a young squad. And I think that they can do some things.
yeah. So that's a guy that I'm getting to start this week. Hopefully he doesn't let me down.
All right, CJ.
I can do a little bit better. But yeah.
One really quick, my brother had reminded me because I was telling him that I have Mike Evans on my squad and that he scored every week and that I feel bad because I haven't played him yet, even the week that he went off. Because I mean, I have so many receivers and I'm just like, Baker, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I'll play him this week, and he sends me a screenshot to remind me again, because I had talked to him about it this morning, that it's Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans this weekend.
Ooh,
and then he sent me the stats of how pretty much Marshawn usually shuts him down. So I was just like, but I'll just be watching with my popcorn, like not trying to get the fantasy points.
Somebody's getting ejected. We already know that.
Oh wait, I think they play at the same time as us. I won't be watching. Sorry. Highlight.
I watched, like I said, I watched Red Zone, so I watched pretty much all of it. But
You'll get the snippets.
Yeah. So this has been week 3 of Talkin Sporty with Brittany Bets and P. Brit, did you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna say we'll catch you next time. We'll be doing Tailgate Takeover next
That's
week.
right. That is right.
Sweet.
Yes, we will be at Tailgate Takeover.
Philly game. The Eagles will be in town, so that should be exciting. Like, I'm excited to see all their tailgate stuff, like the type of stuff that they do, because there's going to be a lot of people. I mean, it's good. Guys, get ready. It's going to be green at SoFi. What do you mean? Like,
is it Lincoln Field still? I don't know if it's still called Lincoln Field, but Lincoln Field South, because everybody wants to put their
West, right.
Let me take you on a day. We ain't got to wait. Tell me if you got an ex nigga in the way, he can stay. I just want to get a little taste, and I see you keep your body in shape. Look, I just want a day. Damn.